In this video, you're going to learn 3 things. 1, you always have a choice. What does that mean? 2, why it doesn't feel like you always have a choice. 3, what unlocks from embracing that you get to choose. My name is Greg Brooks, and I spent a lot of years living my life in a way that people said would make me happy, but it didn't. I made a lot of money playing poker professionally. I was a young 20-something-year-old gallivanting in New York City. I built, grown, and sold businesses. All these things I thought would bring me fulfillment, but they didn't. And then when I was 26, my dad died suddenly from cancer, and that really threw me for a loop. I went on a journey trying to figure out what's going on in this world. And one of the lessons that I learned was that we always have a choice. And that's what this video is about. Okay, humor me for a second. Look out the window, look back, blink your eyes, pick up your phone, put it down. These are all choices that you just made. Now, they're basic ones, and it gets more complex from there. For example, I can choose to believe that things will never go my way. I can choose to think that it's dangerous to walk outside at night. And I can choose to know that things will always wind up working out for me. We always have the ability to choose, and that comes from our belief systems. Those belief systems dictate our decisions, which then dictates our reality. So then, why doesn't it feel like we always have a choice? There's a few different reasons why. For one, the choices that we have might not always be good or fun. So if I really don't like my phone, yeah, I can choose to throw away my phone and to never be able to communicate with friends and family like the way that I'm used to, or get access to the internet from everywhere. Or I can choose to keep my phone, even though I don't really like it. Another thing is that choices are not always equally distributed. So if I'm being held hostage by someone with a weapon who's threatening me, I can choose to listen to what they say. I can also choose to not listen to what they say. In that second situation, there might be really negative consequences that come with it, but it is still a choice that I'm able to make. The third reason why it doesn't feel like we always have a choice is because choosing often requires us to go against our default or instinctive thoughts. So if I'm feeling really depressed, every single day in the morning, I might feel instinctively my mind telling me, stay in bed, don't get up. My default instinct might be to do nothing. I still have the ability and the choice to go against that default instinct. Number 4, similarly, choices oftentimes require us to go against our social conditioning. So imagine when you're younger and you're with a group of people who you knew, and maybe somebody's being bullied. In that moment, we have a choice. We can join in on the bullying. We can say nothing and let it keep happening. Or you can speak up and say, hey guys, this isn't right, we shouldn't do it. Many of those choices in that situation require us to go against our social conditioning, so it doesn't feel like we ever have a choice in those sorts of situations. But in reality, the choice is always there, and it just oftentimes, again, doesn't feel like that. The trick with choice is becoming aware that we have a choice. This is called agency. Agency is the thing that enables us to say, wait a second, I can choose. It enables us to remember that, hold on a second, even if it doesn't feel like it, I have a choice. This is the power of awareness. Once we are aware that we have a choice, even if they're not good options or fun options, or it doesn't feel like it, or not fair, or goes against our programming, we still ultimately have a choice. Once we embrace the reality that there is always a choice for us, there are things that start to unlock in our life. Challenges and obstacles now become new opportunities to make decisions from. We have the ability to define and redefine ourselves. We can grow, we can evolve, we can move in a new direction, always, no matter what. We can choose to discard behaviors that no longer serve us, that used to be habits that we're thinking, hey, maybe this isn't for me anymore. One big unlock is that we no longer become a victim. Our circumstances are no longer happening to us. We're active in choosing. Now, of course, the flip side of that is, yes, we're responsible for our actions. Yes, we're responsible for the choices that we make. And this definitely can feel intimidating. And at the same time, it's a liberating feeling because we are in control and we do have a choice. And the last big unlock is that we're always empowered. We are the agent of change in our own lives, not someone else, not something outside of us. It is always and always has been us. So this is all pretty theoretical, and I'd like to switch things over and give you 5 practical things that you can do to reinforce that you do in fact have a choice. So number 1 is to choose to do something that you normally wouldn't choose to do. For example, if I'm eating, I can pause for a second, and then I can consciously decide to take the next bite of food. I can repeat this a few different times, 3, 4, 5 times. If I'm scrolling on social media, again, I can pause for a second and recognize the moment. And then I can consciously decide to scroll more. I can consciously decide to like or to not like a photo and what I see next, and keep going. Number 2, I like to add a sticky note somewhere that says I choose. So I might add this by my work setup, if that's something that makes me feel sometimes I don't have a choice, or in the bathroom. The goal is simply to remind myself that I have a choice. It's to bring that awareness and that agency back into the picture. Number 3, you can reword how you describe things. So you don't have to go to work today. You might instead choose to go to work because you want to get paid, or some people might have a family they want to support, or they think this is what's important in life. These are conscious choices that we make, and it's perfectly fine to make those choices. Similarly, I might not say, oh, I should have gotten off my phone and gone and worked out, but I didn't. Instead, I would say, I chose to continue playing on my phone because I valued my short-term dopamine hit, or because I'm probably a little addicted to my phone. There's nothing wrong with ever making a choice. It's simply about owning the fact that we do have a choice, nothing else. There's never any judgment for our own choices either. It's just the recognition that we are the ones choosing, and therefore we are the ones in control. Okay, here's a good one. Letting go of a grudge or a fight. So think about maybe a grudge or you've held for a little bit, or a fight that you had recently. You can ask yourself, what do I gain by holding on to this? And if you choose, you can consciously forgive and release. So if this is actually something that's relevant to you, I'd recommend pausing this video right now and spending 15 seconds just doing this, because it's very healing and it's very easy to do. And the 5th example of a practical thing that you can do to always reinforce that you have choice is to simply reflect on the choices that you've made. Write down 3 choices you made this week that had a positive impact, no matter how small they were. Acknowledge your role in creating good outcomes in your life. Say, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, and smile at yourself. This is another one. If you haven't done this, I'd recommend pausing the video right now and actually doing it. So we always have a choice. It oftentimes doesn't feel like we have a choice. The choices might not be good or fun or things that we'd like to choose over, but the most empowering thing that you can remember is you are the one in control. You are creating your reality around you, and you're doing this through the choices that you make. Once you create that awareness and the agency that you are the one in the driver's seat, that's when life and the universe opens back up and matches your own beliefs. Thanks for watching.